Today I'm going to show you how to make these amazing chicken curry patties. The first step is to make the pastry for the patties. To my food processor, I've added all-purpose flour and curry powder. I need 2 egg yolks for the pastry, so I am separating the eggs. The egg whites can be used later in other recipes. You can also store it in your fridge for up to 2 to 4 days, or you can also freeze it. I'm going to add the egg yolks to my food processor as well as cold butter that I've cut into pieces, and then I'm going to pulse this. The full recipe will be linked below, and it will also include instructions on how to make this without a food processor. Next, I'm going to add cold water, and it's important to use cold water because you want all the ingredients to stay cold. Then I'm going to pulse this just until everything comes together. Now I'm going to place it onto my counter without any flour, and I'm just going to use my hands and just kind of pat it together to form a disc. And you do not want to knead it, just keep pressing it together just until it all comes together. And then I'm going to place this into a Ziploc bag. You can also use cling wrap and place it into the fridge and let it chill for at least 30 minutes. While that's chilling in the fridge, I'm going to get started on the filling. To a bowl, I've added curry powder, crushed garlic, and water. And I'm just going to mix this together. Now, how many of you use actually fresh garlic at home versus the jarred garlic, the already pre-minced garlic? Personally, I prefer the fresh stuff, and I never ever buy the pre-minced ones in the jar. The next thing I'm going to do is fry the curry paste in oil, and as you can see, I've added some oil to my pan and it's over medium heat. I'm also going to add onions and let them cook together. Adding a lot of onions to your filling makes the meat really moist. My sister actually taught me that trick, so I like to use a good amount of onions whenever I'm making any type of patties. I'm adding a little bit more oil because I felt like it was a little bit too dry, and I'm just going to stir this around and just let it cook for about 5 minutes. Allow the curry to fry and the onions to soften. Next, I'm going to add boneless, skinless chicken thighs and thyme. I prefer to use chicken thighs over chicken breast because chicken breast tends to dry out. I'm going to stir the chicken breast to coat it with that curry paste and let this cook for about 10 minutes. Next, I'm going to add water and a chicken bouillon. Now, if you have chicken stock, you will not need the chicken bouillon, but I didn't have any stock. I'm also adding salt at this point. I'm going to give it a good stir and allow this to simmer for about 20 minutes. Next, I'm going to remove the chicken thighs and the thyme. As you can see, the sauce has thickened up a lot. That is a ton of flavor right there in the pot. Now I'm going to add some flour as well as water because I want this sauce to thicken up and to cling to the chicken. Next, I'm going to add the chicken to my mixer, and did you know that this is a quick way to shred chicken? You can also do this using 2 forks if you don't have a stand-up mixer. I'm going to add the shredded chicken back to that sauce along with chopped green onions and just stir it around until the chicken is coated. If this is your first time here, thank you for joining me, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Now the chicken needs to cool completely before we move on to making the patties. So at this point we have cold chicken and cold pastry. I'm going to cut this in half and work with 1/2 at a time. You can also place the other half back into the fridge just so it doesn't get too warm while you work with the first half. On a floured surface, I'm going to roll out the pastry, and I'm just using my rolling pin to flatten it a little bit before rolling it out. And you guys, I love my marble rolling pin. I love the weight of it. It's perfect for things like this, as well as those that are stubborn to roll out. I often get a lot of questions about it, and I will link it below in the description box. And now I'm rolling the pastry out fairly thin before cutting it using biscuit cutters. I'm going to link these cutters below in the description box. Now if you don't have cutters, you can also use a bowl to cut out the pastry. Now that I've cut out my circles, I'm going to place this into my patty pan. Now I get a lot of emails, comments, requests about where to buy these pans. My mom had a friend send these pans to her from England. They're very, very tough to find here in the US. I think I may have found something similar on Amazon, and I'm going to link it below as well. But I will also show you how to make these patties if you don't have the pan. Now I'm adding that chicken mixture directly into the center, and you want it to be a little bit generous because you want to bite into your patty and really taste that filling. Now that I've filled the patties, I'm going to brush the edges with a combination of beaten egg yolk and water, and this is going to help it to stay sealed as it bakes. Now I'm adding another one of those pastry circles on top, and I'm just pressing it around the edges. Using a fork, I'm just going to press around the edges of the pastry just to make sure that it's sealed and it doesn't open up as it bakes. I'm going to prick the top of the patties to make sure that there's a place for the steam to release as it bakes. Now I'm going to brush the tops of all of the patties with the egg wash, and this is going to help it to brown beautifully as it bakes in the oven. Now here's how you're going to make the patties if you do not have a patty pan. You're going to add the filling into the center, leaving a border around the edges, and brush it with the egg wash. Then you're going to place another piece of pastry on top. And I just like to press it around, make sure that the edges are nice and sealed and the filling is in the center. And the last step is to press the edges with a fork and then prick it in the middle. Place these on a baking sheet to bake. And these are going to bake about 25 to 30 minutes in an oven preheated at 375 degrees until they're golden brown. And this is the final result. The crust is nice and flaky. The filling is so juicy. You guys, this is a real treat. I will link the full recipe in the description box below, and thank you guys for joining me.